All right. All right. Hey, it's Mike Belfor, and welcome back. Today, I'm joined with my really good friend, Cathy Rabago, who's probably one of my favorite agents of all time to work with. She like dominates the East Bay. When I first met her, I wasn't sure if I was going to have a chance to work with her. And by the grace of God, bugging her so much, we finally got to do quite a few things together. So, more than anything, just happy to have you here and just want to see how things are going for you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. It's definitely been a tough market out there and tough for a lot of buyers and sellers. For sellers who aren't priced correctly, their properties are sitting on the market more than 30 days, and then some areas in more than 50 days.
Yeah.
As far as for buyers in the tech industry have been like a green light, red light type of situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I see it too. I mean, you see red light at like 7% or above. As soon as they hear a 6%, it's like green light. It's definitely like that game we play with our kids, right?
Yeah.
But a question, I guess, for folks who haven't met you, what markets are you covering? And how long have you been in the industry? And you know, who do you serve? Who's your, main clientele, or what sort of clientele do you usually get an opportunity to work with?
Yeah, great question. So I have been in real estate for actually, it'll be 10 years
Wow.
um, on Thursday.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I
Thursday.
got my license 10 years ago.
Awesome.
And yeah, crazy. And as far as the areas, I've worked the East Bay. I've also worked in San Francisco. Um, I'm pretty much everywhere. I've
Okay.
worked in Marin County, Central Valley, South
Wow.
Bay.
Wow.
Um, but my clientele has been in the tech industry, medical industry. So I've dealt with doctors, nurses,
Yeah.
um, a lot of software engineers. So yeah.
Cool. What got you 10 years ago? What got you into this industry? Like, what was that one thing you're like, oh, I'm going to do this. I want to try real estate. What was the thing that motivated you?
I love working with people,
Okay.
and that's really a passion of that I have, and I love um, seeing how it affects, someone's life because
Yeah.
it's just wonderful when you see that, you're giving your client the news that they got their home or when they find their home,
Yeah.
you just feel like you're finding your home again. And
Yeah.
um, it's been a great experience because I've made a lot of friends out of really good friends. My clients are clients that I have for life, I feel, because I keep in touch with them. I see their families grow. Like for instance, one of my clients, they had just gotten married and they were doctors and they were getting settled in the Bay Area, watched them have their kids, sold their first house, sold their second house. And it's really nice when your client comes back to you and they trust you or they refer you. So I have lots of clients that also refer me.
That's
So
awesome.
really
That's
nice.
awesome. Was there a moment early on that shaped your approach or philosophy and how you work in this industry? Was there something that was like, maybe a coaching system or something that helped guide that way or guide that path?
Yeah, I was really motivated by a really good friend of mine who is in the real estate industry and who actually inspired me to get into real estate. In For over 20 years ago, I worked in property management, and he got me into property management and wanted me to get into real estate. And at that time, I didn't proceed, but when the opportunity arose again, I just said, you know what, this is what I want to do. This
Yeah.
is exactly where I want to be, and I love doing what I do. I could talk real estate all day and
Yeah.
just how it affects people. I mean, I just love it. Yeah.
So what's one thing from back then that you wish you knew when you started? I think there's a lot of things that we could all probably say, especially in this market. But yeah, what's one thing
As
that
a
you wish?
realtor,
Yeah,
yeah. So if you're starting in any business, um, you really need to make sure that you have enough um, money saved.
yeah,
And when I say money, because You are marketing yourself, you're your own boss, and you need to make sure that you can afford to market yourself, in a way that is going to be profitable.
Yeah.
So it is hard for people who are starting off and I was fortunate enough to have my husband, support me, but there are, individuals who are transitioning from a full-time job to trying to be a full-time realtor. So it is hard because this is a full-time job. It isn't something that you put in what you're going to get what you put in, right? And I think it's important for people to know in any type of industry, especially in real estate, you're going to have clients that need you, and you're not going to be there just part-time, right?
100%.
So
100%. So, I mean, in this market, this is a hard one, right? So, and you're right. I mean, let's talk about those conversations right now. And this is kind of why you set up those things for now. What conversations are you most having with clients these days? What does that look like? And how are you, helping people stay focused and confident
yeah.
during uncertain times? What are things that you're doing that seems to be working?
Yeah, great question. As far as my buyers, when I come in contact with them, are they pre-approved? It's really important to know what you're approved for and get the scenarios,
Yeah.
because it is a misconception when you purchase a home that all you're putting down is a down payment, and they don't understand that you're paying closing costs. You're paying all these added fees that they're unaware. And it's just educating them through the process, understanding what inspections are, contingencies. Um, a lot of uh, buyers think that, oh, sure, we don't, we can waive our contingencies, but if you don't explain what the risks are, then there it's a disadvantage to them. And having them understand these documents are in jargon that they don't typically read on a day-to-day basis, and understanding that is really important. um the searching is one thing because buying is emotional,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But is it right for you?
Right.
Sometimes the client has to think what is right for them. Is this financially right for them? And I always look at my client's situation. I don't want to position them in a situation that is going to be potentially wrong for them.
Yeah.
So I always put, the pros, lay out the pros and the cons.
Yeah. Well, here's the question then, I guess, for that. I mean, what makes your process different then? Or what's your approach that's different from working with that first time home buyer versus move up buyers or investors? What does that look like? How's the approach different, I guess?
So, well, investors, they're just looking for the flip,
Yeah.
what they're going to make a profit, right?
Yeah.
And not put too much into the home, right?
Right.
And
Right.
on their budget. As far as a first-time home buyer, what recognizing what their want and need is, and really um, reminding them what their what they came in, why they started their search.
Yeah.
You know, getting what getting to know the reason why they wanted to buy to begin with,
Yeah.
and staying realistic to their needs, their um to their pre-approval. That's a big thing, is understanding what they're approved for, and not having them search, absolutely not having them search without a pre-approval, because
Yeah.
you're setting someone up for a potential, you know, um, you know, disappointment.
Yeah.
And because if you find a house, not saying that they're not going to get approved, but one, if they don't have their pre-approval, how are they going to get their house, their offer approved?
Yeah. It's true. I mean, so it, I guess that sounds like probably, my next question was like, if you had a magic wand and could fix one of the processes for buyers, would it be just getting them pre-approved or getting them set up earlier, would you say? Is that kind of like that one thing that would make all the difference in making sure that they truly know kind of what numbers look like, the pre-approval, they know not only down payment, closing cost, and those items, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that we do is I set up an appointment with them to lay things out. What is the first thing that we need to do? Your
Yeah.
pre-approval. Do you have, and when we find out what their budget is and what they're pre-approved for, what the costs are, and do they have that access to those costs? Because that's another thing. You can get pre-approved, but do you have, the ability to get the deposit in within a certain period of time?
Yeah.
And that's really big. A lot of people don't understand that you need to lay all those factors out, and it's a stepping process where you're walking them hand by hand through each step of the process and reminding them, okay, this is the next step. Because as a first time home buyer myself, if it hadn't been for my friend who really walked us through each point of the process, I would have been lost.
Yeah.
I really would have been lost. I really would have not, um, had he not really explained to us what this means.
Yeah.
Because you could tell your client, okay, we need this, we need A funds, at this date, but explaining to them why you need what at a
Mhm.
certain period.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what that could mean to them, right?
Yeah.
You know, um, Certainly like with buyers, I'm gonna let them know, hey, if you're buying and you have a pre-approval, you don't want to be opening credit cards. That's the worst thing. Or
Yeah.
purchasing a car.
Yeah.
I had one client who thought they could purchase a car and came up for a showing with a brand new car, and like, what did you do?
Yeah,
Your
I've seen that
backup.
too, unfortunately. Actually, years ago, I had someone quit their job
Oh my gosh.
at the funding table.
No.
Yeah,
No.
it was a weird story, but she was working in Los Angeles. She was buying the home as a second home. She had this intention of moving to Northern California eventually, but she
Mhm.
wanted to find a job and it would be a year or so out. And then we came into signing, closing this whole transaction. Again, she's a nurse buying it as a second property. She We're about to send the wire and we do a verification employment like on a Monday morning.
Yeah.
And found out that she no longer worked at the hospital that she was previously working at. And I called her, I'm like, what happened? She's like, oh, I quit over the weekend. I'm like, why? She's like, oh, my daughter needs me. They have a baby, so I'm just moving up there now. I'm like,
Oh my God.
you need a job. She's like, well,
Yeah.
nurses are in demand. I'm going to find a job anywhere. I'm like, that doesn't, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll never forget it. That was like 15 or 16 years ago. And I'm like,
Oh
what?
my gosh.
Yeah,
Now,
so we send those emails out more than you know now because of things like that. Don't buy the new car. Car payments. It doesn't have to be a Mercedes to have an $800 a month payment, right? Hondas, pickup trucks have that. It's crazy because of just where things are today, and it could completely change that pre-qualification. So
oh, absolutely.
I guess the question I have for you is, on that note, you know, what's a mistake other than that one, of course, or maybe that one that you see buyers or agents making that's totally avoidable? You're like, oh my gosh, it's so obvious. I mean, you're a top producer, so what would you say to that?
I think the biggest mistake is not for agents not checking the comps
Mm,
and explaining to their client um, the comps and the risk of it not appraising, because then you risk whether the seller is going to lower the price
yeah,
to the appraised price
yeah,
or even give them a credit for it.
oh,
I think that is a total recipe for disaster.
yeah,
Um, I think that that is the number one thing, and not really explaining. The other issue is not explaining the disclosures properly.
hmm,
The disclosures, I mean, that is a total um, liability if you don't know how to explain the disclosures to your clients.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really big because if you go in and a client just waives all their their contingencies and they're going into a home that has multiple issues, pest issues, and then they're like, yeah, 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 I can fix it. I've seen this on HGTV, no problem. So, we're not experts. We're not, but we have to tell them, you should do your due diligence on
100%.
it.
Yeah,
So
100%. HGTV, I feel like that can be a curse sometimes. I hate
it
HGTV
is.
personally. I can't watch it. Even though, I mean, 20 some odd years, I mean, of this industry, I just like rather spend time with my family and watch something not real estate involved and not something that's so for TV, made for TV, right?
Oh yeah, I so dislike the people that come in and think they can flip a home and they look at it and I mean, it is down to like the studs and they're like, yeah, yeah, no, this is cool. I saw this on HGTV and they flipped this home in about a month and a half. And I'm like, have you looked into how long it takes to get the permits and inspections done in the city? Do you know what else is required? What other inspections are required from the city and the county? What
Yeah,
licenses that you need to have? And they think that they can get a loan. And some of these, it depends on the type of loan that you have. They're hard money loans, right?
mhm.
But you also need to think about the interest rates. If you don't, get it flipped after a certain period of time, you're paying a lot.
Yeah.
You're paying a lot on
There's
the
rehab loans, as you know, FHA 203K, the home path products that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have. There are these programs available, which sure, but yeah, I mean, you see something with the foundation that's going to cost $250,000 to repair. Oh no, I can do it. I saw on ACTV. I'm like, yeah, but they bought a property in like Arkansas or Missouri, where
yeah.
it's not a painstaking permit process that costs a ton of money to even get the permits, and then of course gain the certificate of completion
Oh
after
yeah.
the work is done is like that's a whole nother thing. And
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, you think about like in Berkeley or in Oakland, and on the hillside,
yeah,
these people who buy, the fixers and they think they can just just plot a new structure there. You have to have studies done, especially on the hillside,
yeah,
inspections, and those don't happen overnight. It's not like you can call somebody and, oh yeah, sure, I'm gonna be there tomorrow.
yeah.
Wait in line.
Like HGTV, they make it sound like you can do it in 30 minutes, right? Like, oh, he'll be
Yeah,
there tomorrow. He's gonna be there this afternoon. He'll be. I'm like, no, it's not. No,
no.
it's like a year or two. I have neighbors, pipe burst in their property, and they're still out. It happened about a year ago. And they had it because of the permitting process and how long that takes. And they're moving from Airbnb, long-term Airbnb to long-term Airbnb until their property gets, repaired. And it's unfortunate, but it's these sorts of things are important to know, even as a homeowner, be aware of taking care of your property. Recaulk those windows, check the siding, make sure the paint's in good condition. Those sorts of things just for the better upkeep. The way you call Kathy to list it, it's already ready
Yeah.
to go, and there's not a whole lot of deferred maintenance that's going to cost an arm and a leg, right?
Oh no, absolutely. I think that years ago there was an investor who wanted to get into a home and flip it, and he th there were tenants that did refuse to move, and he still wanted to proceed forward. I gave him the pros and the cons, and it cost him a lot of money to get these people out. And you really have to know how the county city works with you when
Yeah.
you're getting into these types of homes. A lot of people think that they can make a lot of money. You can, renting, but you have to know what you're getting yourself into if you're trying to clear tenants out of there.
Yeah, it's a pain. Trust me.
So,
I have rental properties and in the state and in other states, and not it's not easy in any state, right? Like especially here in California because of all the restrictions and protections they have for tenants. So 100%. What's a recent win? hear a good story of like this is a why I do this type of moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So my recent win is a client who I've had actually after my second year. I have known him him and his wife, and I've helped almost everyone in their family, friends. He's referred me to his clients, and he gives me a referral, at least one or two referrals a year. And um, the biggest win out of that is that everyone who I come in contact that has been referred by them has said they have said that you're like family and that you're going to make us feel like family. And they end up feeling like family. And
It's awesome.
so it's really nice. It's really nice. And that's my win, is making new friends. In fact, I'm visiting some clients this coming week because we've been in contact for the last 3 years since we got them into a home. And
Great.
yeah, it's wonderful. You see people that grow, and you see them blossom. And what's the beauty of our business is that they trust us so much to refer us to other people.
100%. Yeah, and I love that. I mean, there's nothing greater than a referral, and you do that so well because it's just how you take care of people. I know you've always done that, which is one of the things I've always admired of you. Um, I guess some rapid fire questions before we wrap up. What's your go-to, coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee. I have a
Yeah,
cold coffee right now.
there you go. Right on. All right. All right. So, do you have a book, podcast, or something that's impacted how you work?
Yes, I have a couple books. One that I was listening to just recently, actually, I was listening to it for the third time, is Let Them.
Hmm.
Let Them by Mel Gibbet Robbins. I love
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
She's really, really good.
Yeah.
I love, love, love her.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's incredible. Actually, I know about that book. It's actually here. I had to look it up to be sure. My yeah, that's the same one, right? It's actually on my Amazon wish list. So I got to give that a read. Now I'm
oh,
hearing you
you
right
have
there.
you buy the Audible one because
Okay,
I love listening to her. She's funny.
okay,
But you know what I like in this? She talks about stress, how to deal with stress, and
yeah,
don't stress things that you don't have control over.
yeah,
And especially in the era that we're in right now,
yeah,
so many, and not just in the real estate industry, I think it goes in every industry right now, that
uh,
everyone's dealing with one thing or another,
yeah,
right? And
100%.
I think we need to slow down and just reflect the positive that we have.
Yeah.
And um, that's the most important thing.
Do you journal?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I find
Yeah.
someone and writing down five things they're like you're stoked about or excited about, grateful for every day.
Yes.
I agree with you 100%. And
I
yeah,
think journaling is wonderful because it really helps you find things. Yeah, yeah. You write what has really helped you out and what was your aha for the day, right?
100%.
And sometimes I write, what was the toughest part of the day? Because
Yeah,
you need to keep it real, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and then I go back and I look at what I've written, and throughout my journal, and I think of, wow, this is so great. And
yeah,
yeah, I had a tough time this one time, but I overcame that,
yeah.
and here I am now, right?
Love it.
And just live it every day. Don't don't dwell on the past.
Hmm.
Make every day a better day, right?
100%. Every day is a gift, treated as such, right?
Oh,
100%.
absolutely. Tomorrow's not promised.
Nope.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not to get all biblical, but there's actually a word that says, don't worry about tomorrow for today has, or sufficient is today with this trouble. Right. And it's like, it's so true. Cause like we got our own stuff going on today. Worry about tomorrow, just one step ahead of the other. And, like most things, love buyers are concerned, sellers are concerned. There's all sorts of people. We were speaking before this podcast, about people who are concerned in the market. And it's just like, we can't change things that are out of our control. What we can do is stay in our lane, knowing that boundary, and just continue to work and knowing that eventually things do work out one way or another. They do work out, and it's a harder time, for sure, in our industry as well, right? So I guess on that note, what's something that you're working on now that you're super excited about?
I am. working on just reaching out to my buyers who have really, had a really bad misconception about what's going on
Yeah.
and really educating them, just working hard on educating them,
Yeah.
letting them know, obviously everyone is at a different pace, and it's okay if you can't buy right now, but really educating them about the market,
Mhm.
of what's going on, because it is scary. A lot of people, I think that the biggest scare for people right now is, um, and a lot of conversation, and not to get political, is the administration, how
Yeah.
that affects our market.
Mhm.
And I think that there's a big misconception because of that. People get scared, they see something on the news, and then they get stuck to the news, and they start, just thinking to themselves, this is not good. This is not good.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily true.
A lot of this
So,
fear, I think, is driven by headlines, whether you're on watching Fox or CNN or anything in between, right? It seems like headlines are really what's driving a lot of concern. And I mean, candidly, I said it before, and again, not to get political or not to say one thing versus another, but I think whatever you're watching, whether it be Fox, Newsmax,
mhm,
CNN, MSNBC, if you're watching any of those, they tend to want to make a headline that will make you want to watch that particular program. So they're
correct.
causing fear in order to get that response. So you can watch that, knowing that really that's how they're getting, going back years with Nielsen, but going back to Nielsen ratings, which helps their overall ratings and helps what they're selling because it helps create the profitable machine of that news station, right? So I think that's 100% correct. And it's easy to turn off because if you look at, historically, we've talked about this, but recessions. And if we enter into a recessionary period, real estate tends to do very well. Interest rates come down. We start to see an improving housing market, right? It might be a little bit slower now, but it's been like this for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
So if we hit that recession, that means prices are going to spike again. And if that
right.
happens, rates come down. Rates come down, more buyers come out, and then you're just busy, right?
Exactly. I mean, look what happened during COVID.
Hmm.
Everyone said, "Oh, we're going to have the market's going to crash. The market's going to crash."
Yeah.
It did the exact opposite.
Yep.
I mean, we sold so many homes, and the equity on homes, I mean, they tripled
Yeah.
in certain areas. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just crazy. You saw all these multiple offers. But with that said, there were a lot of rules that came out from that.
Mhm.
I think that we are in a position now, because of what happened years back in the
Yeah,
crash, that
yeah,
we are educating our buyers
yeah,
of how to prevent that from happening. We have so many, I mean, it's hard as it is to get pre-approved. We're making sure they're totally, qualified for these loans,
yeah.
right?
That's a huge part is not only going over how high they could go, and if you're another loan officer or buyer and you're not working with me out of state, whoever, what I'd share with you is go over your budget. Budget is everything. Making sure you're okay with that payment. Can you make the payment? Don't look at an adjustable rate mortgage. And if you do, what would it go up to? Just come up with a hypothesis so you're comfortable. Then that's
Absolutely.
the more important thing, right?
I think
Uh,
that that, and if you're buying in certain areas, the insurance has a big
yeah,
factor to weigh on that.
yeah,
Certainly in certain parts of Oakland, Lafayette, um, where there are high fire risks, there
yeah.
is going to be a higher insurance rate, you
Mhm.
know, um, and it does affect that fire, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I guess I'm gonna wrap up because I think we're past our time here,
Yeah.
Cathy. But I was gonna ask, so how do people connect with you? If you're listening to this, how do you connect with Cathy to help you buy or sell a property? What's the best way? Is your website, Instagram? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, sure. You can certainly DM me on Instagram. At Boggle Boys, and you'll see my face and my family's face. But definitely contact me at 925-216-2820. I'm or you can email me at Cathy@cathyrabago.com.
Awesome. And I'm
So
gonna leave your links below in your website. I love your website. By the way, I actually
thank
loved
you.
it. I love your website so much that I asked her who her web person was, and I had them build my website too. So I'm like, oh, she's awesome. So there's a shout out for Patsy. Uh,
I
but
love
uh,
Patsy.
but yeah. So Kathy, thank you so much for the insight and the heart you brought today. As always, seriously appreciate you more than you know. And
Thank you.
yeah, just really if you're a buyer seller just looking for clarity in the market, definitely reach
Absolutely.
out to Kathy. Kathy's amazing. I ask her for questions and
No, and
learns
I
about what she's saying.
appreciate you.
So
And and
you're
I also reach out to my Latin community. I bilingual. Por favor, llámame. Yo los puedo ayudar. Con mucho gusto. So
awesome.
thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me, Mike. All
Yeah, I'm
right.
so glad we did this. Thank you so much, Kathy, and we'll definitely connect with you soon.